And will we perhaps truly achieve peace this year at last? And peace not on Russia's terms, to put it bluntly.
Well, let's talk about what is needed and by whom. Not just that people want peace and so on. The people don't decide anything here at all. Let's start with Putin. What does Putin want? Putin, as always, wants to deceive everyone around him. He imagines himself to be a truly great spy, a brilliant strategist, which he certainly is not, and so on. But right now he's reasoning correctly because, as I understand it, he has some new advisors, possibly the Chinese. These advisors are no fools. The reasoning goes like this. What does Putin really need exactly at this point in time? The terms that are considered acceptable to him simply aren't important to him, as he clearly demonstrates through his actions. What matters to him is the perception in Russia that it is seen as a victory. He couldn't care less about what's actually written there. Putin hasn't cared about that for a long time. In fact, he never cared about it at all. He has his own interests, right? Just like Trump does. Trump has his own, and this one has his own. That's it. And what matters to him is that this peace agreement is signed so he can free his hands and attack the Baltics. He really needs this. Right now, they're actively working on it, carefully examining railways, bridges, and so on in various locations. They're conducting exercises to seize the Baltics. I think, what about Trump? He made an agreement about this back in Anchorage when they met. I think he said, Donnan, well, this is our Soviet Union. Well, how do you... And that's why the agreement with Ukraine is important to him, one that would state that the Ukrainian army, not in its entirety, nor even a few individuals, not even one or two people, can take part in the war against Russia. He will insist that Ukraine even formally introduce an article into its criminal code, clearly stating that if Ukrainians participate in the war against Russia, anywhere, on any side, then they are subject to criminal liability and will be nailed down for life. Because, pay attention, when Putin was speaking at his meeting, when he was answering questions, he said, right before that, actually, just before that, in Russia, there is only one warring army. What army? It wasn't even said in proper Russian. It's clear that it was that Kalmyk who said it. You remember the one who kept pulling people out, showing them like that company commander and so on, that it's not proper Russian. So he meant a warring army. But you understand, there can't be just one warring army. It can't be fighting itself. So it must be fighting someone. So that means there are already two warring armies. He says in Europe there's only one warring army. Those are his words, right? Or maybe he said there's only one warring army in the world. I don't really remember. But the fact is there are two of them in any case. And he's already erased one of them in his own head. So you need to approach this like a professional investigator and catch people on their words, catch them by the tongue. Why is it only in his head? Did he erase it? He nullified it, but it exists, a powerful Ukrainian army. Because in his mind, he already knows that he's going to sign an agreement which will tie up that army, hand and foot. And that's why, in his view, the only warring army left in the conflict is, in fact, his own, Putin's. That's exactly what he's counting on. And with the help of this army, he plans to seize the Baltics and impose his will on everyone. Trump probably said, we need a corridor in the Kaliningrad region. It's all our land. A corridor is needed in the Kaliningrad region. It's all our land. But what matters to him in Ukraine? And also, of course, first and foremost, as always, let me just say, well, it's what they agreed on with Trump. It's the restoration of the Ukrainian economy, a process that is both complex and significant. Or, in other words, Abramovich will come. He's a friend of all the presidents. Yeltsin, Putin, Zelensky, and whoever is next in Ukraine, he'll be their friend too. Don't worry. And so he will be the one, on behalf of everyone, to restore the economy in Ukraine, taking on this important responsibility. Putin's wallet, and from Trump's side, there will be some other wallet, maybe his son-in-law or someone else, someone close to him, perhaps a trusted associate or family member will be involved as well. And that's fine. They'll make good deals that way. But you see, to make all this happen, you need to sign the appropriate agreement, tie the army's hands and feet, and you absolutely have to agree on elections. Right? Yes. Why elections? You see, yes, Zelensky is absolutely unacceptable to Putin. And the Rada, in its current form, is also unacceptable. Putin will pour crazy amounts of money into Ukraine, the same money he's now spending on the war. He'll spend here on the elections. Yes, he'll pour it in. And as you might expect, some number of Rada deputies will be Putin's people. But of course, they won't be walking around wearing a sailor cap labeled Putin, right? You might not even know it. They might look like very patriotic people, at least on the surface. Nevertheless, they will act in Putin's interests. And aside from Zelensky, whoever becomes president, I want to emphasize this point, Ukrainians need to understand whoever becomes president in Ukraine, he will essentially be a Trump avatar. Do you understand? He will be a Trump avatar. Anyone.
That's if elections happen, but what if they don't?
They will happen if the war ends. The war will end. It is very advantageous for Putin right now to end the war, free up his army, which he will then send there, hold elections in Ukraine, and simply plunder Ukraine. Whoever becomes president, even if he is a 100% patriot, he will still be a Trump avatar. And Putin will act through Trump. He won't act directly. He will act through Trump, making use of his influence and approach, and will resolve all issues in Ukraine as if it were nothing, showing an ability to address complex matters with apparent ease. The situation that has arisen now is due to the peculiarities of this period, the specifics of the American presidency, and the characteristics of the authorities in Europe who are experiencing a range of pressures and challenges that are shaping their actions and decisions. The changes taking place as a result of these factors are very significant, marking a notable shift in the current state of international affairs. And of course, there will be a very striking moment in the near future, one that will impress everyone and leave a lasting impact, highlighting the importance of these developments. These are Orban's elections. That's the main thing. Orban doesn't have a single chance to get elected. Not a single one at all. Right? Even his family has fled to America and already received citizenship. But he can rewrite the protocols. He can just take them and say, listen, that's it. Our party has won. I'm the boss here. Everyone else can get lost. And what will be the result? I think that's exactly what he'll do because he takes money with Putin, because he has secured Trump's support and so on. In other words, just stuffing ballots is pointless. He simply can't stuff enough ballots there to make a real difference, no matter how hard he tries. As much as you could with that election system, when there are observers present, there's police ensuring order and so on. That is systems that are more or less democratic. Well, how much can you really stuff? Well, 10%. A ridiculous 10%. He'll lose and it'll be absolutely crushing. That's why he'll just have to rewrite the protocols. Where there are no observers or police, where the commission sits and the Central Election Commission reports results. There he won. Everyone asked, how did he win? Well, just like that. Just like they won in Moldova recently. Only in the opposite direction. Like in Romania. When they told Georgescu, hey, you weren't even here. Just like that. You didn't win here. In other words, democratic elections have long since died, even for the Democrats and liberals. It's absolutely obvious. They just rewrite the protocols as they've always done in Russia. That's basically how things are now. And now we watch. This will be like litmus paper. If he decides to rewrite these protocols, then things will get really bad from there, and the situation could become even worse. If he doesn't actually dare to do it, then the forces are still. In other words, he probably understands the balance of power even better than we do in Europe. If he rewrites these protocols, it will be an absolute disaster, a complete catastrophe. Although, on the other hand, we'll see. You see the upcoming elections in France as well as the upcoming elections in other countries. There, the protocols could be rewritten by the completely opposite side. So that's not the case there. Not Orban's side. On the contrary, they're the ones fighting for power there. So This could actually work in our favor. Well, to hell with it, with Hungary, with Orban, with this. But in France, those who need to come will come, and not Le Pen.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, as they always say. I tell you, my friends, please remember what Vyacheslavovich always says. Even if it suddenly seems to you that it is impossible, unthinkable, and so on. Yes. And you can rewatch our interview in exactly the same way and see for yourself the opposite. I remind you of this every time.